a new Minivan Musician.
As long as I can make a sound, my artistry will be around. Long after I'm in the ground and one person feels what I spit, I have purpose. It was worth it. What up, though, and welcome to Minivan Musician. I believe we're on episode 38. I'm Verb, your host. Doing this thing solo this week. I'm sure we'll be back to normal next week. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe. Tap the bell for updates. You only get a couple a week. It'll be very solid content. We won't inundate you with stuff and drive you nuts. And if you have a YouTube channel, we will subscribe to you in return. Always do. All right, with that out of the way. Yeah, this one's irritating. This week we're going to talk about who does or doesn't belong in hip-hop, or who can or can't carry a hip-hop card, quote-unquote, or if you have to turn that card into the culture at some point, or passes, whatever stupid fucking shit. You already know which side of the argument I'm on, if there even is an argument, by me calling it stupid fucking shit. I'll start with something more positive. Hip-hop has always been about unity. Hip-hop has brought together Bloods and Crips, even if it's only for a song or an album or to be on the same record label for an extended amount of time. You know, real recognize real. And, you know, the American dream of hip-hop, if nothing else, has brought those people together. GDs and Vice Lords. You know, blacks who previously, for the most part, hated whites, being on a record label either ran by or with a white guy as an artist, learning to feel differently about that. Shit. I mean, I've known in certain neighborhoods, Haitians and other islanders, meaning, you know, Jamaicans, things of that nature, not getting along with African Americans. But then you'll see them at the same party, the same show, or in the same cipher together. You know, I could go on and on. Hip-hop's always been all-inclusive. You know, even at the beginning, when you're really paying attention to those elements, you know, you had Hispanic graffiti writers, you had Italian breakers, and black MCs, and Hispanic DJ, you know, that there was a bit of everything. Except I don't think there was an Italian rapper. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. Early hip-hop days, was there an Italian rapper? I know there was a few graffiti artists. Damn. This late in the year, I got hummingbirds over here. Yeah, I'm a bird person. All-inclusive birdhouse, man. Y'all can come. I don't care what you are, man. Anyway. So, the reason I bring this up, and anybody who watches this show or who follows me probably knows why I bring this up. I mean, I did an entire episode here on hip-hop being low-key a Republican culture, whether people realize it or not. I lean a little bit right in my politics. More anti-left than anything, to be quite honest. I'm what they call, I guess you could say I fall into the category of what they call a classical liberal, which isn't like the liberals of today, more like a libertarian. But besides all that, it doesn't matter. For somebody, and there's been several, to tell me that because I'm voting one way or the other, it really doesn't matter which way, but I'm using myself as an example, possibly to my detriment, which I really don't give a fuck, to tell me that I no longer belong in the hip-hop culture, it's completely asinine. Especially when the reasons I personally choose to be on one side of the political spectrum is 100% about the hip-hop culture. It's all I care about when I'm weighing politics out. Who's going to create jobs? Who's going to make it easier for small businesses to start up and do well? Who's better for the entrepreneurs? I could just go on and on. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Because I don't give a shit if you think the other way. I'll never say you don't belong in hip-hop because you think the other way. This is where we prove we don't do the politically correct shit. Like I said, I won't actually feel this way toward anyone. I won't actually tell them they don't belong in hip-hop. But if we were having a one-on-one and they said I don't belong because of the current Republican president, I could throw back at them, you don't belong because your party took fathers away from an entire fucking generation of the hip-hop culture. That crime bill, mandatory minimums, 1994, it's the reason why things are what they are today in the hood, in the street. That was 100% Democrats. And the guy that's nominated right now voted for that. If you could say, yo, Donald Trump said such and such that's racist. You know, like the one thing that they can ever name is the stuff against Mexicans, which he specified illegals. But you know what? I'll ride with that he supposedly wouldn't condemn certain people that you would say are his base. Her base, wow, not a Freudian slip. I don't think he's feminine. But, okay, you could throw that at me. But like I said, in return, I could say Biden is literally on record saying racist things, making a reference to jungles, and just look him up, man. Like, honestly, he was opposed to civil rights. So how is somebody voting the other way? I love how motherfuckers, like, I already hear it in my head. If I were to say that to any of these people who are, you know, saying this shit about me, they'd say, well, I'm not voting for either one of them. You're either one of two things: full of shit or useless to the democratic system in the United States. So your opinion is completely null and void. I could say that because you don't know the games that the Democratic Party plays and the pandering, you don't belong in hip-hop for being stupid enough to fall for the okie doke. But I don't say any of these things. I don't tell anyone they don't belong in the culture. Like I said, from the beginning, I was taught and I lived that the culture is all-inclusive. I keep thinking of all these examples. I have limitless ones, so I'm picking one or two here and there to throw out there. But, I mean, come on, guys. If you're anywhere near my age, you grew up on stuff like X-Clan. That whole movement. That movement was very anti-white. Or I'll do one better. Ice Cube was a devout follower of Farrakhan and them, who at the time thought white people were created in a lab. White man was the devil. But those guys stood next to the white man at a show, in a cipher, whatever, and treated him as an equal. Because hip-hop brings all those people together. Hip-hop is similar to the Masonic Lodge. Bear with me. In the Masonic Lodge, you are to meet on the level. That means regardless of your political affiliation, how much money you make, any of that, age, color, none of that shit matters. Religion, none of it matters. You're all serving a greater good. You're serving the community. I've always seen hip-hop that way. What's funny is it's old cats I hear this shit from, for the most part. I think they're just trying to have a relevant voice in hip-hop. Like, in my day, you couldn't vote this way or that way, or whatever the case may be. I'm that old guy about some shit, but more about the actual culture and art, like, meaning, if you can't rap, you know. But the reason I say that is because in the streets with the youth, where hip-hop, I'm going to be honest, as an old cat, that's where hip-hop is supposed to really live. That's who it's supposed to really be for. as those young dudes in the struggle. Now, we supposed to kind of mentor them, but, you know, this is a young man's culture for the most part. Well, you would definitely say, based on those old morals or whatever ethics of hip-hop, that drug addicts aren't welcome in the hip-hop culture. Well, I got news for you, buddy. Nowadays, you'd be pretty much alone saying that shit, because the vast majority of artists and fans in the street, the majority of the hip-hop culture is popping pills. You know, that was a no-no in my day. You know what I'm saying? But, yet and still, those people, those young people, are not telling people they don't belong because of how they're voting or what age they are and shit like that. The main thing, I was going to name this episode, maybe I still will. I was going to name it, Leave That Shit at the Door. Same thing I said with the Masonic comparison. Similar shit. We supposed to leave that shit at the door. This is supposed to be the one place where people of all backgrounds can be and unite under this particular culture, under this particular dream, whatever your motive for being a part of it is. You know, you may be an artist yourself. You know, you may be a promoter. Maybe you just want to be a part of the community and be helpful. Maybe you're just a fan, but you're a knowledgeable fan. Any of those things are great. But I've known an Arabic Muslim dude. This isn't from Detroit, but doesn't matter. Very helpful and active in the hip-hop community. Pretty damn good artist as well. Treats everyone, I don't know him currently anymore, but treated everyone with respect. I mean, great guy. At home, very, very anti-Semitic. His beliefs are, for the most part, anti-Western culture. He leaves that shit at the door when he's, you know, got a Jewish cat making a beat for him. You know what I mean? Or whatever. A Christian standing next to him in a cipher, referencing God and whatnot. Even though in his homeland, Christians and Muslims are killing each other. At least they were then. I used to have pretty deep political talks or, you know, even about history and stuff like that. But anyway, he's just one example. My whole point is hip-hop is about unity. And if you're going to make it about anything else, you're probably the problem. Real shit. I've been around it a long time. To tell me I don't belong anymore based on political beliefs is, here's the anti-PC shit in me again. Borderline retarded. I've done a lot for this culture. I've done a lot in this culture. And this culture is in my heart. In my heart's every beat, to be real. And what's interesting is some of the people I've seen that are most dedicated to this culture, who will defend it the hardest, who know the most about it, are white dudes who live in rural poverty and vote Republican. I mean, there's people who refuse to vote where if you'd really look at the civil rights and everything but behind hip-hop, it could be considered disrespectful, very disrespectful, to not cast a vote. Very disrespectful to the forefathers and the ideology of this culture. Especially when you're talking about politics, there's a lot of stuff at play there. And people balance it out. And the reason we have to balance it out, both political parties or two major parties are evil, in a sense. You almost can't help but be evil because in order to get things done, you have to compromise this, compromise that. you start compromising your ethics and morals and the ethics and morals of your people, you're evil. But if you're working toward a greater good, and this is the best system there is, definitely could be improved. But if you're working toward the greater good, it's like, okay, well, people got to pick one of y'all, and I'm going to see who I feel even, is working toward the greater good of my people. So you're doing this balancing act, like pluses and minuses and stuff like that. And people have different backgrounds. They have different perception of things. In fact, in hip-hop, I feel like if you automatically feel like a vote this way makes you a valid part of hip-hop culture, I kind of think you're far away from hip-hop because you're looking at things really closed-mindedly. That's not hip-hop, man. We're open-minded. Like I said from the beginning, all different types of people, all different types of viewpoints. Our art form comes from almost nothing, and it's damn near genius, if not genius. You know, if people aren't open-minded to other votes and other thought processes and things like that, then maybe they don't belong in hip-hop. Malcolm X was in the hearts and minds of just about everybody who founded the hip-hop culture, and for an entire movement within hip-hop culture during one of its biggest times of building. And Malcolm X told y'all, don't vote Democrat. Don't vote for the panderers. You know, beware the white Democrats specifically. And there's a Black Panther Revisited, or was it Reconsidered? I think it's Reconsidered. People have different reasons for voting the way they vote. It gets complicated. It's like people have different reasons for being in certain interpersonal relationships. You can sit there and say, yo, man, she's not right for you because you're this way and she's that way, or this or that. That's where you get yourself in trouble, boy. You know what I mean? That's where you get yourself in trouble. It's complicated. There's a lot of factors that go into it. It should be complicated. It should be a difficult decision. Within this culture, we have absolutely positive, conscious artists. We have completely ignorant, still in the streets, you know, whatever, artists. They coexist. Shit, they collaborate a lot of times for the common good. You know, they're not asking each other who they voted for. They're not asking each other their political beliefs. One may try to sway the other one in a conversation, like a normal conversation between men, like, hey, man, you should look at this. Maybe hand them a book or something. But same thing as the Masonic Lodge. You should check that shit in at the door. Meet on the level. 100%. I mean, if people got input, leave it below. We'd love to hear it. I know I left some important points out, but no teleprompter, no notes, none of that shit. This is all freestyle. And okay. Next thing is, what is happening music-wise for Minivan Musician and the channel. Music-wise, this Saturday, dropping Weed Wars on you. If you've ever smoked brick weed out of a can, sold brick weed, caught a case over weed, shot somebody over weed. No, Weed Wars, it takes you back to the period of roughly like 1996 to 2004. And we're dropping the video on Saturday. It shows you the style of video I mentioned before on here, where you're taking your normal footage of me rhyming, say, but splicing pieces of documentaries and photos and stuff in there. It's just something that I like to do. I'd like to see what people think about it. Probably doing a video like that for every song on the project, 1996. Which is when I started this hip-hop journey as an artist. Yeah, that definitely ages me, right? Anyway, so we dropping that. You're going to see more and more advertisements for that, 1996 coming up. As far as the channel goes, I still got a recreational area, campground review video coming. We have the vacation video. Those of y'all watching this for the first time that came here in outrage, I don't know, maybe chill out and watch the vacation video. Maybe it'll give you some ideas, inspire you to plan a detailed vacation for you and your family. And you can take a 5-day vacation with less than $1,500. And anyway, watch the vacation videos. There's 2 of them. I'll put the most recent one, and I'll put both of the links in the description down here. Next week will be the return of Flow Face Off. This time it's getting really, really crazy. Basically a double round this upcoming week on Minivan Musician. I think that's it for right now. But we'll see what else comes up. Something else always does come up. Other than that, random shit. I got to meet Denny McClain this week. If you look at my social medias, at Don_Verb on Instagram, or just search Don Verb on Facebook, you'll see that I got some pictures with Denny and in a signed ball with his stats and everything on it. I feel like there's a connection with him in the hip-hop culture. He predated it, obviously. But not only did he go to prison and prove himself to be a decent person when he came out of prison, and also he kind of got railroaded to go to prison the first of 2 times. He was a part of the 68 Tigers, who, like hip-hop probably would have done, brought the city together. I mean, nobody wanted to go into the city at that time. People went into the city and sold out the fucking stadium basically during a time when the city's burning down. Crazy, right? He was a big part of that. He won 31 games. Last time a pitcher won 30 games. Probably the last time it'll ever happen. I won't get into baseball nerd shit and explain that, but yeah, y'all got to remember, in closing, there's a lot of black Republicans out there, believe it or not. You can't exclude them from the culture they grew up in, that they sacrificed for, that they gave their heart to, that they still defend when it does stupid shit. You can't do that. You know, that's just a reminder. There's people everywhere that have different beliefs and everything. Some people, this is something I left out a bit earlier. Some people, like for instance, I met a Russian guy who's like, you got to vote for Donald Trump because you can't vote for you have to vote against the left. They want socialism. You Americans don't know socialism. I had socialism and it killed my entire family. People turned into cannibals. Blah, blah, blah. His heart's in those statements. And he was definitely a hip-hop cat, quote unquote. He grew up in the culture. He played around as an artist when he was younger. People who have names for themselves in this culture probably know this dude. You know, he's a little bit older than me, but hey, I'm sure that he had connections to some of y'all that are watching this. So, you know, in closing, I'm just going to tell people, keep an open mind. Ask yourself, why does this person believe what they believe? Actually, don't. Tell yourself, this person's entitled to believe whatever the fuck they want to believe. Freedom of speech, another huge thing in hip-hop. Just ask yourself, how are they serving the community? What kind of respect do they show the community? Can they be of use for the community? You know, just always think of the hip-hop community, because we've lost the community part. Probably from shit like this. And because there was no fathers for an entire generation. And older brothers and everything else. There's not a lot of male figures. But that's something for a different conversation at a different time. But other than that, hope to see y'all next week. We'll be back on the regular format. Peace and love to everybody. And on that note, I'll say peace.